All right. How you doing out there? My name is Jason. I am from the Game Warrior. It's been a while. We're going to do a little video today. I'm just going to talk with you, just chat with you about how things are going in the Massive Darkness 2 Hellscape world. Now, here's the thing. Make my video a little bigger. Can I make it even bigger? That's it. I'll almost dominate the entire screen, huh? You see a little bit down below. All right. So, here's the real fun thing about this. What do I not like about Massive Darkness 2? What do I not like? You see, I love this game. So that's kind of a little fun thing that I did in the title, what I don't like about Massive Darkness. So I thought I'd just have a little fun and talk to you a little bit about combat and how it works. So in the old days, I came from the Dungeons and Dragons world. I came from the Keep on the Borderland, Isle of Dread, Against the Giants, Queen of the Damnedweb Pits, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons back in the 80s. I remember buying, and I still have a copy of I6 Ravenloft. I loved D&D. And then later, I got into 2nd edition, then 3rd edition, then 3.5, then Pathfinder, and now I'm being dragged reluctantly into a 5th edition campaign. I'm 53 years old, and I'm just not that interested in starting a new rule set. Okay, so what does D&D have to do with all this? Let me tell you what it has to do with it. In Dungeons and Dragons, this is how the combat system works. You've got a die 20. 20-sided dice, which is nice because it's 5% increments on a percentile, right? Each one number on it is 5% chance better. And in the Dungeons and Dragons game, you roll that dice to see if you hit somebody. And the number you have to hit is their defense value. So the higher your defense value, the harder it is to hit. So say you had a defense value of 10 and I rolled a die 20, I have a 50% chance of hitting you, right? 1 through 10. And 11 through 20 presumably would be a miss. Okay, so if your armor class was 11, then it's a 45% chance for me to hit, and it goes upwards from there. If your armor class was a 20, so I can only hit you if I roll a 20, then when I roll, I have a 5% chance to hit you. Okay, now the way the game works is pretty simple. I just rolled to see if I hit you. Right? Your defense is the conglomerate crap that you have on, all your armor and speed and magic. And my 2-hit is all my skill with all my magic. And we just put those two bonuses together. We roll around dice. And if I hit the number, I hit you. I just hit you. It's done. And then we see about damage. Right? If I hit you, then I roll damage, which is depending on the weapon and my strength. Have you been working out? You've been eating your greens? Have you been getting out and getting some sun? I hope so. The Game Warrior is always healthy oriented. Okay. So I'm just having some fun here, and I just want to continue to have some fun. So I grew up with this system, right? The only other system that I really knew was Axis and Allies. Who here? Raise your hand if you played Axis and Allies, right? So they only use die 6s, which is 6-sided dice, the 6-sided ones that most people are familiar with. And there was a number that you would hit. So if you had soldiers hit on a 1, right? So if you rolled, so it was low. So if you had 10 soldiers attacking, you'd roll 10 die 6, and each time you hit a 1 in 6 chance, those were hits. If you had, tanks were 2, right? Might have been 3. And I remember like bombers were on a 4. And you could have super bombers up to a 5, right? And planes, and some of them would have a different value. Oh, like soldiers in defense. If you attacked me, my soldiers would roll to see if they hit you. And if they defended on a 1 or a 2. But if they attacked, they weren't as good in attack and they only hit on a 1. So that was the other system, okay? This is all getting somewhere with Massive Darkness. And by the way, this is just conversation. So if you want to jump in and type your comments, I'd just love to hear what you think about combat. Okay, so that's just the simple 2 ways I've learned and thought about it in my head and is grooved in there. Just roll a dice and see if you hit. Now, I remember playing and starting to learn, though I never got huge into it in terms of actually playing the game, though I painted and collected probably 1,000 miniatures, which was Games Workshop's Warhammer 40K and Warhammer Fantasy. I know they're changed now, but I sold those in my store for years, and so I just love them. We have huge armies. I just finally finished selling most of my Tyranid army off, and now I've got a lot of other armies that are going to go. Anyways, in that game, it was all die sixes too. And I remember that if you hit, then the other player got to roll a die for defense, which was a little different to me, right? And there was a psychology in there that I didn't like. And so that's what I'm going to talk about. Like, if I roll a hit, and I get to roll, and I'm excited, and I love rolling dice. You're chucking dice, right? You're chucking dice, and you hit. It's a hit. But in that game, it wasn't, because they could roll a defense, and if they defended successfully, then it wasn't a hit anymore. So I didn't like that. I didn't like the psychology of it. Okay, so let's go to Massive Darkness and what it does. And this is the thing I don't like about it. However, I'm going to caveat the whole thing again by saying I love the game. We'll do an official review pretty soon. So this is what I don't like about it. Here we go. You ready? You ready? You roll a dice to see if you hit. And you either miss, in general, you roll yellow or orange dice, okay? There's other dice for higher levels, but let's just use the one dice. You either miss or you hit. And each sword is a hit, right? So you hit. You're like, yay. But you don't, because they get to roll, each monster you hit gets to roll a defense dice. And that defense dice is blue, and it has a shield on it, 1 or 2 shields. Okay? That's just the simple version of the game. So if I'm rolling 1 yellow dice to hit and against the monster, I would roll with it a blue dice. If they had a shield, they could have 2 shields, 3 shields. It would be the number of dice. And if I have 2 or 3 yellow dice, so forth and so on, right? The more powerful I get, the more dice I get to roll. And if I get orange dice, they're a little bit better, and so on. So I say I'm just simplifying it. I roll against the first monster I hit, and it has a 1 shield value, which means a 1 blue die. So it gets 1 blue die, and I get 1 yellow dice. And say I just roll, and I roll. Say I get my sword, and I hit, and he gets a shield, and it gets a shield. I roll it. There's no other player. It's a cooperative game. That shield would negate my hit, and so that shield would negate my hit, and that wouldn't be fun to me, right? I hit, but I don't. So that's one thing I don't like about the game. I don't like about the game. I don't like that they have these shields that negate it. Now, there's something else that they do. Depending on the number of people in the battle, they roll black dice as well, right? And these black dice have claws or claw marks. And those 2 effects do things to you. So when you attack someone, right? When you attack someone, if you get the claw marks, they wound you. You got wounded just by attacking. Forget, they're not attacking you, right? They just got wounded. And so, and then they have a claw thing. And in that claw on that dice mark, it does a special effect. Sometimes it's usually negative to me, but to the player, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. It's usually just a special negative effect. So that's the way it works. Now, I didn't like that at first. Like, it's just anti-intuitive. Like, man, let me roll. If I hit, I hit. And you've got these little dice that are special, have swords on them. It's fine. I roll a die 6. If I see a sword or I see 2 swords, screw it. I hit you. I did 2 damage. That's that. But it's not. You have to roll the other dice, and then you also roll those black dice, which are based on the number of effects. So you could miss. I could roll miss, right? He could roll, or it could roll a defense and defend, or I could roll a hit and it defends, and then they can roll the black dice and it could wound me. So every attack I could miss and get wounded. Okay, I don't like that. I don't like it at all. Throw it in the trash. Yet. It works. I played it a lot. You get all your dice together, you get the big dice, you get their black dice, the system is well balanced. It really does work. It really does work. Now, it's against my sensibilities. My wife, I had to explain this whole thing to Jenny, and she was like, okay, because I don't think she came, well, I know she didn't, but I don't think she had the sense of purity that I do, that when I roll a die 20, you know, have you ever, in D&D, we would sit around the table, 5 or 6 guys, and like, okay, man, you got to hit this monster. It's a hit, you know, and everyone's standing up looking, they're like, roll, you need a 15, you get the 15, you jump up, ah! I mean, you don't have someone go, okay, the DM gets rolled, defense, oh, you didn't hit. Like, that would suck. It would suck. And so, I'm not a fan of this system. I'm not a fan of it. It works. It works really well. It's all balanced. Even the black dice that give you the claw marks and it's like, oh, I got wounded attacking, right? And there's things you can do to nullify and defend. All these things that work. It's all balanced in it. So it's a really well-balanced combat system. It really works. It really works. It's fun. The defense dice rolling with it, you know, it just all works out. I just don't like it because a hit's a hit. A hit is a hit. I know. I'm so really intense about this, right? A hit's a hit. Anyways, what do you think? I'd love to hear what anyone thinks. I know it's an esoteric, crazy topic, but this game channel is about having fun, right? And this is one of the things that goes through my mind. My mind talks about defense, you know, like this. And when I create and design games in my head, I'm thinking about this, right? I'm just thinking about this. Like, what, to me, in a game would be the most elegant way to do combat, right? What would be the most elegant way, right? And I'm inspired by a game like Diablo 2, which I think Massive Darkness really had a lot to do with. I think though it really influenced it, right? But when you're playing Massive Darkness, not a Massive Darkness, Diablo 2 or Diablo 3, either one, right? And you're mousing along and you just click your attack on the enemy. Just right click it, I think. And maybe it was left click, I can't remember. It just does it. It either hits, it misses, it does its damage, it all does it all for you, right? And yes, I know this is a board game. This is not a computer game. But I often think about ways to help games, to just help them along in the areas of glitchy grittiness that it's better not to have to go through. There's certain parts of a board game that are awesome to go through. They're not the same as a video game, right? This is a totally separate topic. We should do another video, shouldn't we? Totally different topic, but I'll leave you with that there's some grittiness that I'm trying to think about how to, as a designer, to eliminate, right? And I would just love it if you hit, the damage took care of itself. And I mean, that's one of the problems with all board games is that if you have a minion, say I play with my wife, so there's a one leader in a mob, they're called mobs in Massive Darkness, and then there would be 2 minions because there's 2 players, me and her. So and every time we hit them, we have to take little hearts and put them on the miniatures. And you know, and at first level, some of them, like the undead, right? An undead mob takes 4 hits each. So that's 12 hits you have to deal to get rid of the whole mob. And the way the mechanics work is you take care of the 2 minions first, then the leader. It's just, you know, it's a little bit of a pain in the butt. It's what we do. We love it. Love the game. Not complaining, but I'm putting little chits on it. You know, oh, there's 2 hits. This one hits. That, you know what I'm saying? And so, is there a way to just simplify that without playing a video game? Anyways, what do you think? Does anyone have any other combat ideas? I was thinking also another game like Gloomhaven, right? Gloomhaven's system is really bizarre. It's 2 cards. You play 2 cards. It's a very scarce resource, so you have to play your special abilities with the absolute tactics in mind, right? And that is another interesting conversation. Do you want your combat to be really a puzzle? Gloomhaven makes the combat a puzzle. It's a mind burner. You're bouncing it because once you use ability, the card's gone. You can get some of them back, but then you lose one. Some you can only use once ever. And it's really a puzzle. And it's obviously a fantastic puzzle because people love it, right? I mean, Gloomhaven has a story. It's okay, you know what I mean? But it's the puzzle of the combat. It's very different in Massive Darkness. It's puzzly to a small degree. It's more about just rolling dice and puzzling your moves out and gaining your powers and getting your 5th level before you hit the boss. And it's just kind of fun. You're rolling a lot. It's a dice chucker. So what do you guys think about combat? What are some different combat systems that you've seen? One of the things is that we're looking for, if we're all as a collective here, just as a community of friends who watch the Game Warrior here, one of the collectives that we're looking for is something that's elegant, right? I do like chucking dice, so I'm a fan of that. Fan of a lot of CMON games because we're gonna chuck dice, right? One of my favorites is Cthulhu Death May Die. It chucks so many dice, it's amazing. So chucking dice is good, but elegant at the same time, kind of a believability, not too much math to do. I don't mind it in a role-playing game in Dungeons and Dragons. I get little paper and pencils and I'm checking it all out, though when I'm DMing, to be completely honest, sometimes I'm just kind of keeping each monster in my head, and if it gets close and it's dramatic, I kill them, you know, or I keep them alive if it means something for the other end. I'm more of a dramatic DM, if you didn't know that about me. Anyways, thoughts, feelings? I would love to hear what you have to say. It's just a fun little topic, and my little title, Massive Darkness 2, what I don't like about it. It's the combat system, even though I do like it, because it really does work. It really does work, but it has the one flaw to me, is that I can hit, and they can roll a shield that negates it, which isn't fun. Okay, everybody, until next time, keep playing, get outside, get some sun. One of the reasons I haven't done too many videos is I'm outside working out. Last night, my son came to visit, and what we did was so awesome. We got our kayaks and we went down the Provo River, down Provo Canyon. Then we came back and we played, I should do a report on this too. We played like 4 games of Marvel United. And then the night before, I played 2 games of Marvel United X-Men, the X-Men version, which is amazing, by the way, so good. Haven't done a review for that either. And then before that, we did Viticulture. Me and my wife played that, and she beat me twice, which made her very happy, though it frustrated me. Okay, me and my wife have this great competitive streak with each other. But did you know I have won all 9 games of Ark Nova I've played? All 9. Have you ever been on a 9-game winning streak? That's another video right there, on 9-game winning streak. My wife loved the game, gave it a 10 on a video. Some of you know that. Some of you went and bought the game based on her review, and you're loving it too. And she refuses to play anymore. And I'm thinking, do I throw the game? Here's a question to everybody. Do I throw the game so that she'll keep playing? But I don't think you can throw a 9-game winning streak. If you can go for 10, you got to do it. How many times do you get a streak like that, right? We also played Dwellings of Eldervale last week, and I squeaked out a win against her, and then we played again, and she beat me the second time. So she had like a 5-game winning streak on Dwellings on me. So anyways, what are you doing? Type it up. Let's say hi. I love this community. I love these people. I know this channel is small right now, but one day it may be huge. It may take over the entire world. So I look at all you like there's 170 million. No, it's not 170 million yet. It's 170 people. Big thinking here, right? 170 people. You're all my friends. I love communicating with you. Say hi, and let's talk some games, and I'll put some more videos out as the summer rolls on.